What is up, folks? We're gonna do a very special episode today. I want to talk to you about my personal experience falling down the alt-right pipeline and crawling out of that. Many of you may know that I am a leftist. I am far left. I would consider myself a progressive. I lean more towards anarcho-syndicalism, where everybody should unionize, and everything should be ran by sort of this big council, in more of a community-based thing. But I used to not be like that at all. In fact, quite the opposite. I used to, I was going towards far-right ideologies, and that was based on my environmental factors, based off of, like, my life at the time. And that's why I always talk about how you have to try and better yourself, and how Nazis and fascism, there's no such thing as a happy Nazi. It's all about mental health and how you have to get help. So I want to talk about that as much as I can for as much time as I can, you know? So I have always been invested in history and the more intellectual side of things, like science and biology. And I was born in 2002. I am 19 years old. When I was born, just after 9/11, basically that would affect my entire life. My father was a conservative, is still a conservative. I don't live with my father anymore. My mother didn't really care about politics. The majority of the politics I got at the age was from my father, and he was watching Fox News, because this was the era of the Bill O'Reilly, the O'Reilly Factor, O'Reilly Report, whatever the fuck it was called. And Glenn Beck and Sean Hannity and all those awful people. And I would just listen to that and get fueled by that. And eventually, I didn't really get my own ideologies blooming until middle school. My elementary school life was pretty fucking normal, except my parents divorced. Other than that, pretty just par for the course. Then middle school happened. So in middle school, I started questioning my sexuality, and I started, hitting adolescence or puberty, whatever you want to call it. And because of these things, I was getting made fun of. I was a little bit overweight, not too overweight, for my size, for my height. I'm 6'2", so 6'1", my bad. I always say I'm 6'2" because of the boots I wear. So I was like 180 pounds. Yeah, it's not that bad. I mean, it's overweight, I think. I don't know. So I like to stay healthy, but that's another discussion. I was getting made fun of. I was called a faggot. I'm still called that quite frequently by many people. I don't like that, but it's what you get, I guess. And I was made fun of for my weight. By the way, I'm not gay. I'm asexual. I don't really, I can't say I don't get attracted to things. I'm asexual, but if I had to, say, I guess I would say I'm pansexual. Like, I like everybody. I like male and female, but, I'm asexual. sometimes I get romantic, and I guess I get romantic towards both men and women and everyone in between. So yeah, pansexual with asexual tendencies. But I would get. But at the time, I thought I was gay, or at least bi. So I was getting made fun of, and this just made me angry, very, very angry. And it was at this time that I started having these psychotic episodes. I was getting very angry for no reason, and this anger would last me for days. I would start cutting myself. I haven't cut myself in probably a year and a half now. Maybe a year. I'd say 6 months. Oh shit. Yeah, 6 months on the dot. 2020 wasn't a good year for me. I'd rather not get into it, but 2020 wasn't a good year. I haven't cut myself in 6 months though, so that's good. But I started cutting myself in middle school, and it felt great. I'm not going to say it doesn't. It feels really great to cut yourself. I'm not promoting. I'm just talking from my personal experience. It felt great. And I was going online more and more to just escape from my hatred of life. I was getting into internet memes and meme culture, and it was there that I discovered the red pill. For those who don't know, back in like 2015, there was a phenomenon called being red pilled. The red pill, essentially, it was the incel ideology, like just. I don't want to get into it because if you look into it, you fall down. Essentially, it was based off like the Matrix meme: take the red pill or the blue pill, and the red pill was the hard truth, whatever it was. And mostly, it was just women are awful. Pepe, Chad, cuck, beta cuck male, beta cuck, shit like that. A lot of incels say they've taken the red pill. Incels being involuntary celibate, and at the time I considered myself an incel, and very much today I still do. I only consider myself an incel because I don't know. I guess I don't today because like I'm asexual. I choose not to get laid. I could get laid. I very easily could. Not trying to sound like a dude like that. I'm just saying. I have people who talk to me, women and men. So I choose not to. But at the time, I didn't choose. I was very much an incel, and I was angry at that. I was like, women and men don't want me. They hate me. We live in a society. Very typical, like very edgy shit. I was watching edgy content creators, and a lot of these content creators were talking about the election 2016, and Donald Trump was their go-to dude for a lot, because it turns out that incels have a very conservative mindset. They want women to be given to them. They want women to be traditional housewives, which is a very conservative mindset. So when a conservative leader talks about going to the way that things were, you kind of fall into that. It didn't help I was reading Jordan B Peterson as well. That didn't help. Jordan B Peterson is basically like, if you ever want to understand like the incel alt-right pipeline, Jordan B Peterson is more often than not your go-to dude. Jordan B Peterson is a pseudo-intellectual who pretends to know what he's talking about. He's a Harvard, this is not Harvard, he's a professor at an Ivy League college. So he knows what he's talking about. But he starts talking about these conservative thought processes, especially how like women are they blush with their feet when they're aroused, and the sexual dragon inside, like very very incel shit. And people like me who love intellectuals dig that shit up because, oh, he's an intellectual, not realizing what he's actually saying until you're spitting that rhetoric as well. And then it's like, you either go down two roads. You realize that it's awful, or the road that I was starting to take at the time, I realized it was awful. I just didn't care. I liked it. I liked it. I was a middle schooler, a ninth grader. I didn't really realize that this was part of the reason why no one liked me. Turns out when you're a hateful piece of shit, no one likes you for that. Turns out. Crazy thought, I know. Crazy as it seems. Turns out that I was the problem, not society around me. The fact that I'm a cuck and there are chads. No. It was me. I was the issue. It was me all along. The game was rigged from the start, you see. So I had to. For my first step in getting help was addressing my problem. Let me see what time we're at. Bobbity boobity, a doobity dabbity da. Oh, nice. It's gonna be a 15-minute video today. So my first step was addressing my problem. So, a lot of my friends, honestly, I gotta give credit where credit's due. A lot of my friends, when I moved here to the Albion area, they talked to me about it. They were like, yo, stop. Like, a lot of my friends have been very, very supportive, and I am so grateful for that. And that's part of my process. I had friends who weren't just there to laugh; they were friends. I also was diagnosed with some disorders. So, those who might not know, I have a couple different disorders. I'm not saying these disorders are my reason, but getting help and going to therapy for these certainly helped in the process of becoming the better person that I am. I have bipolar disorder, bipolar 1 to be exact, which is considered the most severe generally. With that comes depression and episodes of euphoria. Therefore, the psychotic episodes I was having that fueled my anger because of the bullying, and it would explain the self-harm. As much as I don't like to admit that does it. I also, as of recently, discovered that I have a mild form of Parkinson's. Parkinson's Syndrome is a neurological disorder where essentially as you age, your brain just kind of like glitches. That's how I would describe it. Like, you know how if you get a computer virus, your like screen can like glitch and shit? Yeah, imagine that, but with your brain. So like I become fidgety, I stutter a lot, and eventually it'll get worse. It'll get very, very worse. Smoking weed helps alleviate the issues, which is why I've been smoking weed fucking constantly. But which could also become a better person, like exploring the mind. But no, I started going and getting help and just enjoying life more. I was in like a rabbit hole where I couldn't enjoy life because no one wants to be with me. Ugh, I'm awful. I'm a cuck. And just I was destroying myself, both physically and psychologically. I was just destroying myself, and it wasn't getting better. It was only getting worse. So I got the help that I needed. I go to therapy. I talk to my friends. I talk to my, I often say on this podcast that I'm gonna have Carter and Eli, or I'm gonna have Carter on eventually, and I do want to have Carter on. I think that would be a good fucking episode. But I talk to them daily. They know that as well as I do. Carter and Eli, if you're fucking watching this, Baba Booey. Yeah. And as I started to build who I was as a person, as I got over these insecurities of mine, I started to realize that this uber conservative, like, awful mindset that I was having, it didn't really fit with who I was. It was just me trying to cope with my insecurities and just being angry. It was, in a lot of parts, due to my environmental factors and just my mental illness in general. My mental unwellness. I wouldn't even call it mental illness because I still have bipolar disorder. Doesn't go away, and neither does Parkinson's. They're there forever. It's just about how you deal with it, and I just wasn't dealing with I wasn't living good, as you could say. My father was abusive. My brain was hormone ridden, and at that, not well. And I was being bullied. I just wasn't living well. Once I got out of that mindset, that lifestyle, I started living well, and I started progressing as a person, It was enlightening, some could say. And from that point, from basically 9th to 10th grade, I considered myself a centrist. I just wanted to, make myself great again, pun intended. And I did. I'll stutter. I don't want to say that, I got all, I had a huge enlightening moment after taking acid and LSD, but kind of. Turns out, first time I did LSD, I was drugged, so I just had a really, really fun time. The first time I actually took LSD, I was watching a documentary. It was a documentary about, progressive thought, because I was watching Kyle Kalinske at the time. Kyle Kalinske is the host of a show called Secular Talk. Secular Talk is a really, really good show. Just is. And that's how I started getting into progressive thought processes, a more progressive mindset. I've always been interested in science progressing and that sort, so I just wasn't really interested in society progressing. Now I am, and I think for the better. It's been better for me, even though I do get annoying with the "we need to seize the means of production" talk. I know that. I know. It's annoying. But it's something that I really care about, which is why I try not to talk about it as much. I just want to vibe, bro. I just want to vibe. But I thought this would be a good video for just a good vent, a good story time, you know? Because I really don't know what I would be doing if I fell down that pipeline, that rabbit hole, that alt-right rabbit hole. I probably would have been making different videos, I'll tell you that right now. So this has just been another episode of the Shlama Show Experience. Sorry, I just, swallowed a ash. Love you all.
And God bless.